Been a while. It has been a while. I'm using the power of speech to prevent a sneeze, and it has succeeded! I am too powerful for the body functions of a human! But am I powerful enough to review 3 games? 3 games! No more, no less, for a random system on this wheel, in fact, contained to this list of
Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega Saturn, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, PlayStation Portable, GameCube, Wii, and Dreamcast.
Now, the fact of the matter is we are not restricted by region or by price, thanks to me being very financially unwise. PlayStation. Spyro, Year of the Dragon, Year of the Dragon, Year of the Dragon, Year of the Dragon, Year of the Dragon. I know 2 things about this franchise, actually. One is that there's an anti-piracy setting or feature on one of the games that could fuck me over by detecting DuckStation somehow. I don't know if that's possible, but it could. And 2, that some furry simp for a deer that exists within this universe.
Do you doubt me? Well, I challenge you to search up and lower Spyro the Dragon, a very simple search, into your search engine with safe search on. I cannot specify that enough. On. You will still achieve questionable results. Come here, dear viewer. What is this? What is this?
If you look in the bottom right corner, you can see that the frame rate, despite this being a menu, isn't quite what it should be. I don't understand why everything back there is so low quality. It's incredibly low quality. Who is this? Why do you have minions? Are they unionized? They better be. Oh, wait. Wait, isn't this just the plot of Angry Birds? This is just the plot of Angry Birds. What's going on? I love the fact that she's carrying out her work with absolutely no emotion. What was that animation? An attempt was certainly made. A powerful vision, really? Villain emergence. Also, I should mention I'm speaking with lips because I cut my lip on my braces.
Capture the eggs, Your Highness. Every last one.
How fast were you running?
Maybe you will amount to something after all. Now, go guard the tunnels. Stop anyone from coming through.
That's the bitch that tells you if you're using an illegal system. I hope she does not tell me that, because Well, I'm not technically using the legal system, but emulators weren't part of the consideration in the 90s.
Where are the eggs?
The holes came out on the other side of the dragon worlds. We found some of the eggs, but they were too heavy to carry back.
The other side of the world?
The Forgotten Worlds.
Damn, are the Americas really that bad, folks?
You'll have to go. Nobody else can fit down the holes.
Yeah, come on, let's go!
I was about to mention, I think he can fit. On second thought, he cannot. Okay, that's a good sign. Last time at this point, the audio glitched out, so a restart was all my computer needed.
Find the eggs and bring them back, Spyro. You're our only chance.
I mean, I also downscaled it from 1080p to 720p to assist with the running of the game. Listen, it's a PS1 game. You ain't gonna get amazing things out of it. The adventure begins. Once you load into the game, it's quite apparent that Spyro, the Year of the Dragon, is a 3D platformer. And it has a bit of an interesting setup. It's sort of semi-open world, but it's better if I show you than tell you. Now, right here, I'm just figuring out the controls. I want to say it looks good for a PS1 game, but at the same time, there are some things that irk me about. So I saved it just to kill him, or have my pet kill him. I'm sure there's some random reference that can be made out of that. I'm just not sure what it is. Dragons can swim, apparently. This feels like a stock twinkle sound effect. I don't know why there are gems. Fucking... Egg! Isabel! What you doing? They can teleport. Sonny... Oh. Do I even have a choice? Good God!
You're the one in charge of rescuing the eggs, huh? How sad. Look here, Dragon. If you know what's good for you, you'll turn around and crawl back up that hole you came through. Those eggs belong to us now, and I've hidden them in places you'll never find in 1,000 years.
I've already found
Besides,
one.
Even if you could find an egg, our expertly trained armies will dispose of you and take it back.
You have expertly trained armies?
Clear? If I find you here again, I am going to be very angry. And you won't like me when I'm angry.
How many R's was that? Can we get an error count?
Here.
Jesus Christ, that mouth is disturbing.
In Avalar.
I'm missing out on some
business when
lore.
It was slump after you left, so I came here and struck up a nice deal with the local sorceress. Lovely woman she is. Seems to be very fond of dragons, too. The sorceress has asked me to guard Sheila the kangaroo. I suppose if you had a bit more money, I'd be willing to let her escape. Then you could keep her for a pet or something.
Alright, so what I need to do is a cryptocurrency pump and dump. I think I get it. I mean, this is a game for children after all, so I'm sure a sleep-deprived 17-year-old can, in fact, get it. Alright, I'm sure there's more bullshit to figure out. Also know I have to become rich quick. Once again, why don't I just do some stupid NFT scam? Instead of collecting money off the ground. I feel like this would be much more efficient if I just scammed my viewer. You! Hang on a minute, you behind the screen! I need your wallets. Very quickly. Alright, you don't drown in this game. Which is good, because I really don't like kids games that do that. It's just not... It's annoying when you have to try to explore while also conserving your life. It's gonna be flashbacks of playing Super Mario Galaxy as a kid, if I'm being honest. Both the first and the second SMG games. A small price to pay for Kangaroo. What? What?
I hope you appreciate this favor I'm doing in letting you out.
That's good of you, mate. No hard feelings, eh?
Right. After all, I'm just doing my job.
That man's dead. His ribs are broken. His internal organs are crushed.
I reckon you'd be one of them dragons then.
Yeah, name's Spyro.
Dear God, he's Australian and I'm...
You dragons, you...
He's Australian. Okay, so this seems to be the game structure. You have several semi-open world segments that you transfer to via these portals. I've committed deforestation. Oh god, how do I get back? Didn't think that through.
Oh my, oh my. Can you help us? Hordes of ferocious rhinos have overrun our town and kidnapped the mayor.
Rhinos have kidnapped the mayor. I just realized that these people are basically just the "Who are you? I am from ancient Greece" meme. Remember that? That was a weird time in meme culture. Eyes! Oh my god, my Doofenshmirtz is failing me. And so is my reaction time. Ah, bury the octopus! Who gets my daughter Vanessa? I think he was just murdered. Crime is getting out of hands on the streets of Gotham.
Thank you for rescuing my town. As mayor, I award you with one of our famous giant chicken eggs.
Oh, that does not have great implications. You've been eating our young.
That was the ugliest chicken I've ever seen.
Keys to control it like you're controlling a car. This is not a dragon. This is an automobile. I am a dragon riding a skateboard. While having a coughing attack. Do you have any idea what a perplexing concept this is? I'm also committing acts of terrorism against a series of lizards.
I found this in a lizard burrow.
How do you know that's one of us and not one of them? I see. What is this, man? What is this bird? Explain to me, good sir.
The Rhinox have shut down our cloud generator, and I'll never see a rainbow again.
That's not necessarily what causes rainbows, but I understand your concern. Oh, I see. I did the levels in the wrong order. They're supposed to be like tutorial things for each individual part of the game's mechanics. That was like a Halo grav lift, kinda. I'd say a kid-friendly Halo grav lift, but there's nothing inherently violent about a grav lift. It's what happens after I enter a grav lift that... I realize now I may need a few, crypto didgeridoos. I know these are gemstones, and infinitely more valuable than crypto didgeridoos, but I'm gonna keep calling them crypto didgeridoos. Pac-Man sure ain't been the same since he started smoking. Also, I hate how detailed that little GIF in the bottom right is. I don't know why it bugs me. It just does. Whoa, I prevented worldwide disaster just by pushing around some Pac-Men. I think that's a job well done, personally. Dear God, he's become an even bigger Pac-Man.
What I call a sun. Here, you can have this last sunseed as a souvenir. I think it might be a dud, though.
That's not what I call a sun, so please do not shine it on me. This is not a son either, this is a daughter. A missed opportunity for a wonderful pun. You know, it just occurred to me, I really hope YouTube doesn't automatically set this video as for kids because I'm playing Spyro. I'm doing this for review purposes. I really hope it doesn't set my video to educational because of that. Whatever, I'm going this way anyway. I don't think these sounds can normally be produced by bells. But I could be wrong. It's one fucked up looking rain cloud. I'm about to get scolded by a very angry rabbit, aren't I? Terrible stealth operative. We saw you. Christ, this man has no spatial awareness. You don't laugh, it gives away your position.
Ooh, look out, Hunter. It's the scary sorceress.
I've warned you already. This place isn't safe for small dragons and...
Your hands are triangles! Your opinions mean nothing to me!
But I think we can look after ourselves.
Try looking after this!
Dear God, she killed him!
Come back when you finish witch school, okay?
Enjoy the third-degree burns.
Is it just me, or is she kind of cute when she's angry?
Do not start. We already have one problem within this franchise. Be brave with us, Certi. Be brave. BIANCASPYROTHEDRAGON. Oh, heavens. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh. Nothing overtly horrible so far. Some weird fan render. But I think we're in the clock!
Hey Sheila, let's play a joke. Take this egg and smash it on Billy's house, okay? I need to get him back for the last time he butted me off the cliff.
He did what? Pete, I think that's something you should contact law enforcement over. Also, you were about to... She was born with her glasses on.
And the woman cried. He was born with
Glasses.
I'm perplexed by this revelation. See, part of my problem is I don't have the air brakes from Wipeouts. Okay, wait a minute. If I just hold down circle like it's accelerate and then only steer when necessary instead of pressing forward constantly, it becomes much more familiar to me. Like second nature. Oh, fuck. Years of Wipeout, everyone. Never mind. All those years were just a... Skill points? That seems to be my life. That's the thing that keeps me... What? This must be what it feels like to be Lance Stroll. It's the only man you can spin out before a race even begins. For that, you have to admire him. Got him. Hey there! Hey there, kids! I'm Kermit the Frog! I can't do a proper accent because my braces are cutting my lip! Ow!
Oh, I forgot to tell you. One of the Rhinox had this egg in his lunchbox.
Dear God, so much cannibalism in this world. When will it end? It's making me dizzy. The controls are very floaty, so it doesn't help. No pun intended, but... I am quite literally... Yeah, it's like you get sucked away from them. How long is this tunnel? What was the engineering cost of this piece of shit? Reminds me of old Minecraft Elytra maps, partially because of the floating controls, partially because it's a long, low-poly tunnel that has no reason to exist. I have a weird tendency to not hit the things I need to do, but hit slightly in between them to where it looks impressive, but considering I was actually supposed to hit them, it's not. As a person, that's how my brain works. I can't explain autism to you, but sometimes I can. And that's what having autism is like. What you did was impressive. It's just in no way what you should have been doing. Such as not reacting to the literal sea mine.
The balloon's all ready, sir.
What? Oh! You use these to go between worlds! Who the fuck's Bianca?
You, come here.
Was that? That looks like a penguin or something. Looked like it was from Ape Escape. My God, you've made him. I spent a lot of my time complaining, but I got there in the end. Let that be a lesson to you kids. Never give up. All that work for a man named Grayson. And I'd gladly do it again. We stand Grayson around here. God bless you, Grayson. Here she comes crash landing in again.
Okay, Dragon. You've managed to survive longer than I expected. But you haven't the slightest idea what sort of dangers lie ahead of you.
And neither do you. You just got that spell book.
Grab your cat friend and whatever eggs you found and hightail it back home while you still can. I'm telling you this for your own good, you know.
Christ. And with that madness, I end my tenure with Spyro. Now that I've played about 2 hours of the game, let me tell you first about the graphics. Now, I am well aware that Spyro Year of the Dragon is often considered one of the most beautiful PS1 games ever made. But I have to disagree with that for a few reasons. It is technically impressive that the game looks like this. However, aesthetically, I do have some problems with it. My first issue would be the character models. While they look okay during the gameplay, when they really show them off during the cutscenes, they look derpy as fuck. Especially, look at Bianca right here. Her eyes are so wide open, I wouldn't be surprised if she had been snorting cocaine for several days now. The character animation can also get really goofy, which I understand this is a PS1 game that is to be expected sometimes. The problem is Insomniac went out of their way to literally bend the proportions of the polygons just to emphasize certain facial expressions in a way that is intentionally cartoony, which works occasionally. But especially when Hunter gets real close to your face or Spyro gets up real close to your face, it looks like you're starting to have an acid trip. My second issue is vegetation, like the trees, which is normally fine, but you really notice it when they're stuck together like here, is that they're just sticks stuck into imperfect spheres with some texture slapped on top, and that sort of works occasionally, but I don't know, this personally bothers me. It probably bothers no one else. Other than that, I don't really have complaints. The garaging is nice, they did a lot of good work with the shadows, they did a lot of good work with the polygons, there's a lot of polygons on screen without too many issues. But overall, the problem is I'm just not really impressed by what this game does. It doesn't try and do anything that really blows your mind. Even in the boss fights, it barely pulls its graphical weight. And a boss fight is where a game should always pull its graphical weight, because theoretically there's just a single other enemy on the stage with you, so you can make everything else look super impressive, especially the stuff around the stage. But this game, it's just not really aesthetically interested in doing the things that make my ADHD brain interested in a game. So while it is graphically impressive, it's not impressive for its graphics, if that makes any sense. Point is, it's a 7 out of 10 for graphics. It's well executed, but other than that, I can't give it other praise. I'll admit, I was definitely being nitpicky about the graphics. However, the sound is an abysmal landscape. You see, everything, and I mean everything, the music, the voices, the sound effects, sounds compressed. You can hear it in the gameplay, and it is generally just annoying. Not only that, the music is absolutely grating. Now, I understand that this music was created by a legendary person, a member of the goddamn Police, one of the all-time classic rock bands. However, despite this, it is honestly some of the least interesting music I've ever heard in a video game. Now, I understand that soundtrack isn't necessarily the biggest component in a video game, but for me, a soundtrack is extremely important, because it can be the difference between enjoying a long level or loathing it, depending on how the music is executed. Because if the music is evolving, or at least has a catchy tune, you can really enjoy that music and hope it doesn't stop. A good example would perhaps be a game I previously reviewed on this channel, Crime Killer. Now, in Crime Killer, even though the game is very hard, and every level takes you an absurdly long amount of time to do if you don't know what you're doing, you'll have to retry it multiple times, even so, the music never gets annoying because they're all bangers composed by Darren Mohamed and Martin Walsh. The difference between Crime Killer and Spyro is that Crime Killer's music makes you want to stick around for more, even if the game is hard as shit. Spyro's music grates on you even after a few minutes of just hanging out in the hub world. Stewart Copeland explained that he made the music in the Spyro games by first playing the level it was supposed to be put in, and then deciding how the level flowed. Well, that sounds completely reasonable for a video game composer. When you actually think about it, that basically means it's flow of consciousness music. You know what else is flow of consciousness music? Modern Metallica. You can probably see the problem. If you've ever listened to Modern Metallica and have any sort of ear for music, you know, it's really hard to get through, even if you're using it as background music while doing another task. It's just so musically monotonous that you don't get much of anything out of it. And that's the same thing that I think goes for Spyro Year of the Dragon soundtrack. It's monotonous, it's annoying, and I really couldn't care for it, or even remember most of it. As far as platformers go, Spyro Year of the Dragon is basically your very definition of average. Nothing stands out. You have your normal jumps, long jumps, attacks. Nothing is really out of the ordinary here to the point of a fault. However, that's fine for most platformers, because they tend to make up for it in unique level design that creates fun scenarios out of this average sort of platforming archetype. The problem is Spyro does not. The levels are either boring or tedious depending on what you have to do. Boring is the general state of gameplay, and tedious is when they require precision jumping, such as on the levels shown right now, which is the cloud level. Bosses are also extremely poorly designed and don't really give the player a sense of accomplishment or really any sort of what they're supposed to do. And it's not a problem with the difficulty. I have nothing wrong with a difficult boss. I am quite the Armored Core fan myself, but you have to admit, when a difficult boss is implemented poorly or in a way that is boring, it makes the whole experience feel somewhat pointless. Ultimately, the experience of playing Spyro Year of the Dragon is one that is palatable but ultimately unsatisfying. You might be asking yourself, Willow30, I'm a bit busy! Are there annoying minigames that have nothing to do with the normal gameplay loop? Well, you seem to be making a pretty big deal about it. What do you think, audience? And my friend, if that is your thing, you are in for a treat! Spyro Year of the Dragon, which takes place in a fantasy world, has a goddamn skate park! You can't make this shit up, man! For most games, this would be fucking awesome. But the problem is, this is a children's platformer that aims to extend playtime using a gimmick. And it feels really bad. It'd be cool if you only had just one segment to get all the eggs, but then you have a challenging version to get a second egg, which encourages you to spend way too much time on a poorly made mini-game that isn't even part of the main game. It has nothing to do with the main gameplay mechanics. It wastes your time, it frustrates you. I just quit this after a certain amount of time when I got to the time trial challenge. And there's worse. And if that's not enough for you, don't you worry, because every single level in this game has one of these bullshit minigame areas, ranging from extremely easy to impossibly frustrating. None of these are any fun, as compared to the main game, which is extremely bad, because I already told you, the main game isn't that fun to begin with. Add these on top of that, and all you get is a slew of frustration and boredom that is akin to the 9-to-5 experience. I know this is going to sound harsh, but you need to remember the bio of this channel. I'm not here to talk to you in the perspective of how good it was back then. I'm here to compare this to modern hardware, modern sensibilities, and modern games as someone who is 17 and was born in the year of our Lord Halo 3. That doesn't mean I'm going to talk shit about retro games, it just means I'm going to only recommend the ones that have value even when stacked against modern games. And with that in mind, Spyro Year of the Dragon is utterly uninspiring. Which is sad. Because Insomniac talked about how this was supposed to be the best version of Spyro, the peak of Spyro on the PS1. The culmination of everything they had learned through the previous Spyro games. Spyro the Dragon, Spyro Ripto's Rage. And yet this kind of ruins my expectation of those games. Just because it's not all that interesting. I cannot honestly recommend this game as opposed to other games you could get on the PS1, other platformers like Klonoa, and I get that's fundamentally a different genre of platformer, 2D versus 3D. The point is there's more bang for your buck out there. No, it's not to say Spyro is a horrible game you should avoid at all costs. It's a garage sale game like F1 2002 before it, or after it, whatever. Where you don't go out of your way to get it, but if it's for a cheap price at a shop or a garage sale, it's not the worst thing you can put money towards. But at the end of the day, I do not recommend Spyro Year of the Dragon. I think it is a lackluster game, and I think there are better platformers on this platform for you to platform in. But of course I'm not a dick, so I'm going to tell you how much it'll cost you to get your hands on it. Amazon Renewed copies tend to go for about $40, which is way too much for this game. However, if you ignore the scam that is renewed products, you can get a copy from anywhere from $10 to $5, an extremely reasonable price. Copies on eBay generally range between $15 and $20, more so leaning towards the 20 mark.
Test Drive 6. 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 Test Drive 6.
Editor's note, I got a new mic here, so the microphone used in gameplay and commentary is going to be different from now on, and there's going to be a different microphone in Game 3. Just letting you know. I understand it sounds a bit more airy and tinny, but for me, it sounds much better than the previous compression you got with my built-in microphone, so I think this will improve the quality of my videos. Seizure warning. The following video has fast-moving sequences that could trigger seizures in those who suffer from epilepsy. Viewer discretion is advised until the song stops playing. God, that is loud! Why does this always happen to me? That's not quite centered correctly, but nice try anyway. Infogrames! These fuckers. Alright. Oh, why is the text so pixelated? Featured me. Why do I care? Alright, you have the classic spinning disc loading logo. Unlike the classics. I shouldn't say that. Checking memory card. Alright, before we do anything, I'm gonna turn down this fucking music. Everything is way too loud. This may be dangerous, because this music is copyrighted, but fuck it! We live dangerously on the Wheelie 30 channel! There we go, West Boy Road to Dugan. Alright, we need to buy a car. This is significantly better than Test Drive 5. So far. Can only buy from Class 1. That's fine by me. Look at those fucked up graphics. I'm not gonna lie. The options presented to us are not bad. I have to decide which car model I like the best, because it's Test Drive. Everything looks like shit. Definitely not the TT. Something... It didn't come out of the womb right, I'll tell you that. That doesn't look like a Marcos Manta Ray at all. SVT Lightning. That's almost okay. XKR. Doesn't look at all like an XKR. Doesn't look at all like a Plymouth Prowler either. What is with the back section? Something's really wrong with that. The Hemikuda. I actually quite like the Hemikuda. This, not so much. So, that's a Mustang? Good God. This is also a Mustang. And that's a Caterham, which I think, yeah, everything just looks goofy in this game. Alright, whose ass am I gonna bear looking at the back of most easily? I think this is the best looking car available to us, which is stupid, but okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this, because none of the other cars look quite so good. Alright. They add a Gran Turismo kind of feature, kind of feel to it. I don't know what to think about that. Wait, let's actually check. We should upgrade our car before we do shit. I'm gonna try the tournament first. I already upgraded my ride. Let's race. Because like I said, I played Test Drive 5 before. 3, 2, 1, go! That moved way too fast. Okay, this is already better than Test Drive 5. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Oh! But not by much. The music's having some slowdown issues, but that'll resolve itself in post. That's not something you're gonna hear. Okay, I'm learning you should only brake if you really, really mean it. So far my problem with this is it's Test Drive trying to be Gran Turismo, and it's weird. It feels wrong. And the physics are partially to blame for that. This has got brake to drift handling. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Which is weird. Looks kind of like all the budget games that came out after 2000, if I'm being honest. Okay. Already better than Test Drive 5. Still really not good. What the hell? Time's running out by Cirrus? At this point, I wasn't really enjoying Test Drive 6. But really, that was just a test drive. The real meat of the game was about to reveal itself to me.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, I think this is the moment. This is the moment that Test Drive 6 revealed itself to me in its full glory. More like oh God. Why is the traffic only moving towards us though? I'm having some frame rate issues, actually. I can't do much about that, my friends. That's some rubber banding if I've ever seen it. Yup. That's not how aerodynamics work, but screw it. I just want to not be in debt by the time this race is over. The wisdom that Jacksepticeye once told us is true. Speed is key. Speed is key! I don't know if he'd still agree with that, but you know, I think his point still stands years later. I don't know why that road's cut off by a fence! Oh ho! Whoa! Yeah, no. Bad. What are you doing? Dear God. We have an actual battle going on here between me and that Mustang. Alright, just gotta not be the one to fuck it into a traffic car. Which I almost did! By didn't! Victory! Oh, that's only one check. Out of the way! What are you, an old MR2? Whoa! Shit! I have a muscle car as 0 get up and go. Should have picked the Lotus. Or at least a newer muscle car. Where does this track end? That's a Venturi. Awkwardly hovering above this really fucked up LSD landscape, which actually looks really cool. And there he goes. We won't be seeing him for the rest of the race. Just have to catch up to that guy. I don't even know what he is, really. I just know that he exists and he's my enemy. Yeah, that's a Jaguar. It's a poorly modeled Jaguar. If I was playing Need for Speed, I'd love that car because they can actually model cars! But this is not Need for Speed. Unlike EA, Pitbull was not very good at modeling cars. Sad to say. I think I might have been wrong about this game. I'm having a jolly old time right now. There was an advertisement for bananas that just said, "Go on, eat one today." I feel extremely called out because sometimes I'll get bananas, I'll just leave them sitting in the fruit bowl and never get to them.
3, 2,
they have
1,
this?
Go!
They have Captain Cocktail too? You're kidding me, you gotta be kidding me. The soundtrack is carrying. Oh, that's a bit harsh. I am enjoying the racing, and the graphics aren't bad. But the point is the soundtrack is better than it needs to be. This was in Supercar Street Challenge, this song, and Time is Running Out. That was the first racing game I ever played. So, hearing these songs is super special and super important to me. That's generally not how fences work. Man, that guy got a slingshot through there. I did not. I lost yet another position. And another position. Why does the manta ray look like that? Oh! 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 What? Get out of the way! I sound like one of the goddamn dreadnoughts there, but... Okay, why do we have a Jaguar in Egypt with a pharaoh staring at it like it has the juiciest ass he has ever seen?
3, 2, 1, go!
I realize I can say extremely weird things sometimes. Oh! Thought that was a wall? Well, ow. This is tight! There's so many polygons on screen. I saw that gap there, I'm going to choose to ignore that. Oh, my headlights turned up. This game is a day-night system, doesn't it? Oh my god! The sun's dead-ass rising on us. That's actually nuts. What are you looking to do, Jag? That's really cool and also really hard to do in a PS1 game. Alright, Pickle Syndicate, you got my attention. I mean, you already had my attention, but you got even more of my attention now. More compact than an FH5 Event Lab build, but... worth its weight in gold if you ask me. Oh. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. You risk more, but you make a lot more. Why is there a Greek philosopher looking with a 1,000-yard stare and a Dodge Viper?
3, 2, 1, go!
Alright, we're in Rome. as the Romans do. This wall does not exist in real life, but that or we're the other side of the Colosseum that I think we're on, which actually may be the case. Don't think it is, though. I'm pretty sure all of this is wrong. This is not how Rome's streets really are. But if you're Roman, feel free to correct me. Most of my knowledge comes from Gran Turismo. I think that sound just called the attention of every chiropractor on the planet like a dog whistle. This is a nice part of the city. It reminds me of Atlantica and Need for Speed 3. Oh! Why do the police all have MR2s, and why are those MR2s so fast? Whoa. I could not dodge that, whatever it was, because of lag. And I'm not kidding. Oh, crap. The emulator lags only when I'm recording, though. It doesn't come up as lag once recording is finished. Unlike OpenEMU, DuckStation smooths itself out in post. Oh! You son of a bitch! This is causing much confusion and delay. Oh, that's a smooth interchange. That's satisfying. Art of Rally? Bleh! Test Drive 6s, the game played by real men. We got Houston drivers in Rome. Oh! I am a Houston driver myself, which does not help. When does Rome do as the Romans do? I still don't know what the Romans do. But I'm sure they do something. I'm just going to do this tournament over again so I can maybe try and get in a Class 2 car before I have to stop recording, because it's not like Spyro where I'm trying to get to a specific goal. Actually, I am trying to get a specific goal. Screw that. I'm not going to base this off of time. I'm going to base this off of getting into a Class 2 car. For you guys. Oh, Lord almighty. That was intense, but at least I ended up the right way round. Well, what are you doing, man? Not Test Drive 5 where you can just do that, you know? This is Test Drive 6, where the game is fair and fun. No! Alright, I had enough of a lead for that not to matter. You know, I'm in an American car, so I can say this. Yo, Joe! Ow. And Joeing is half the battle. I might play second here, actually, which is not good. Wait. I have momentum on the Lotus. Speed is key! Like, that is not a joke. Well, it is being used as a joke. Oh! Freeman, you fool! You've gotten us both arrested! I'd really like to pass this police car, thank you. Ah! Tables and chairs! My worst fear. Tables and chairs. I can't be in the kitchen for more than 2 minutes. I'm in a dining room. A kitchen is fine. Which is cool, because it means the traffic is randomized. And it's different every time. Let's take a look at Class 3 just because we can for a moment. I know we should move on to Class 2 first. I just want to see what kind of cars are available. Alright, you have Dodge Viper. Model is not great, but it's better than some of the other car models in this game. TVR Cerbera looks really bad. DB7 looks pretty bad, but I've seen worse in this game. Mustang Saline looks a bit derpy. XK180 could be worse, but it's not great. Shelby Cobra with... Ooh, that's the Venturia showing off on the loading screen. That actually looks okay. But we are not buying any of those, unfortunately. We have to buy a Class 2 car, because that's what comes next in chronological order. Even though we could skip straight to Class 3, technically, that might be a speedrunning strat. We gotta do Class 2. I said we would do Class 2 first, and I'm a man of my word. Oh, we can still get Venturi. That's nice. I might actually get that because the model isn't bad. Penas Esperante. Tempting, but I don't like those convertibles. Generally. Incredibly tempting, though. TVR Griffith looks wrong. Just horrible. Esprit looks okay, I guess. Dodge Concept. Just Dodge Concept. I think the only other game this was in was Gran Turismo 2. The Super Stallion. I remember this being quite the Mustang. Looks goofy here. This Shelby. Yeah. I don't know what went wrong with this car model. Something's not right with it. Oh. Wait. How bad is the Skyline? It is really bad. Dear God. The Impreza model is an improvement. It's still pretty bad. I mean, I'm almost tempted. Let's enter the paint shop. Part of the problem is the colors are so dark on this car, it's hard to see shit. Yeah, if you turn it all the way up, it just becomes gray. That's never what you want to see. This is more a saturation meter. Yeah, the paint's so damn dark. I think I'm gonna go with the Venturi. I just think it's neat, okay? I just think it's neat. Venturi is French. I'm not sure why we're casting that over the American flag. I think a Mustang might have been more appropriate, but you do you, Test Drive. You do you.
3, 2, 1, go!
Why does this thing sound like a goddamn EV? Dear God. All hell's already broken loose. Good thing I didn't skip straight to Class 3, because this is fast as fuck. It's hard to control on the ice. And I just completely got wiped out. This is closer to the Test Drive 5 experience, because it's frustrating! Fuck you! Son of a fuck you! Do not do that, please! Fuck you! I'm never getting those 6,000 back. Fucking Jesus, man! Couldn't maneuver a car at 70 miles an hour? That's how you get someone killed, my guy! This asshole cop. That is actually a good omen. I'm starting to get a hang of it. Not quite, but... Fuck you! Damn it! Oh. Holy shit, he's dead. Alright, I'm gonna take pride in the fact that I am not last place. Last place is an honor reserved for weaker fools. Still, that did not go very well. I think the ice physics just take more getting used to than I had time to do. I mean, it was better than Side by Side Special 2000's ice physics, but it was still really bad. Okay, here. With normal physics, I should be able to succeed with the Venturi. Whoa! This is a sense of speed!
Speed! Speed is
easy to wipe out, but this is awesome. Like, if I had time, I'd just dawdle in the different classes and collect all the cool-looking cars. I don't have time to do that since I have to actually review this game. But this is the wrong side of the road. Somehow, Hawaii is part of the United States. I don't recall my family driving on the left side of the road when we were in Hawaii. Maybe this is a programming issue caused by it being a reverse track, but Oh! Lord have mercy! Yo-ho-ho in a bottle of rum! I'm about to steal this victory! Never mind, he got to it first! Oh! What are you doing? That's not how you enter a tunnel, dipshit! Why are racing game AIs so genuinely stupid? You see a car careening towards you and think, I'll enter the same lane as that car. That'll be perfectly safe because he's already gonna dodge to avoid me. That's not how anyone drives, my guy. This looks like a track from Test Drive Off-Road 1. I've never played it, but I've seen screenshots, and it didn't look great. However, in this game there's an excuse, and that's that it's not designed for off-roading. This is a smooth dirt course. Absolutely shuffled that man away. That's something good about the Venturi. It has great ramming capabilities. It's like that ramming truck you always see in GTA 5 racing videos from Smitty, Grizzy, that general group of people. Stopped watching them a while ago, because watching the same thing over and over again, it's fun for a while, but I got tired of it. Tighter than Cornel's pants in Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, swear to God. Yahoo! And that was Test Drive 6. Hoo boy, do I have some thoughts on this game. But in order to really understand Test Drive 6, we gotta go at it point by point. This is not something I can just rush into because I have a ton to talk about despite the gameplay. Obviously, it's a racing game. You might not think there's a lot to talk about, but there is. And to start with, as always, the graphics. Epileptic seizure warning. I once again include that segment as fast-moving bits that could cause epileptic seizures. It will be safe when I say that the cars can best be described as pretty fucked up looking. Graphically, Test Drive 6 is quite diverse. That may sound like a strange description, but it's not really another way to put it, because there's some elements that work very well and some elements that are absolutely horrible, so it's really best if we go through individual segments, like the car models. The cars can be best described as pretty fucked up looking. They look neither accurate to their real-world counterparts, or do they look good in any sense. The thing is that they had very few polygons to work with, because if they used more polygons, well, that would have burst the limits of the PS1, I'm quite sure. But, here's the thing, Gran Turismo exists. Polyphony Digital proved it was possible to have cars with this small amount of polygons look quite good. So, there's not much of an excuse for this incompetence, especially when you realize that the Dreamcast and PC versions of Test Drive 6 also look this bad in terms of car models. Now don't get me wrong, the texture work does lift weight, but it doesn't lift enough of it. It's still stuck under the rubble graphically. The fact of the matter is, only a select few cars in this game don't look derpy and stupid, which is not a great start, but that's not the only graphical element we need to cover. And I think the next place we should go to is the environments. And the environments are also graphically diverse. It really depends on what track you're at as to how good the environments look. Some of the shorter tracks have much more detail and look much better, whereas some of the longer tracks, where not only is the music compressed, you also have a significantly smaller amount of detail. You might have seen that the textures in Rome weren't quite what they should have been. But ignoring that, let's look at what is consistent about the environments. First of all, trees look fantastic. Occasionally you can see where there's kind of a barrier or something, where it's just a texture applied to a wall. But other than that, when you're moving, the trees are wonderful. God sent. And not only that, the skyboxes are really good. That is awesome. And the game also does great stuff with its active lighting whenever it is on screen. The headlights are good, they're usable, and they look nice. And the rising and setting sun also looks beautiful. Unfortunately, there's no lights at night like Need for Speed High Stakes, but this game fundamentally isn't as good as Need for Speed High Stakes, so I don't know what you want me to say about that. The reflections on the cars also look quite nice, and they work quite well. As always, they are a moving texture, but it's a much higher frame rate than you'll see from Need for Speed 3. Probably higher frame rate than Need for Speed High Stakes, certainly looks more detailed than any of the textures used in any other PS1 racing game that also uses this effect to any degree. At the end of the day, Test Drive 6 is a funny looking game that really shouldn't be praised for its graphics all that much, even though they are passable on several occasions. The soundtrack of this game is also quite diverse. First of all, some cars suffer from the vacuum cleaner sounds issue, where I said the Venturi sound like an electric vehicle, but not all of them, and none of them are annoying to hear over and over again. I played this game for an hour and a half and it never bothered me. But anyway, moving on. As for other soundtracks, sound effects, Jesus. Actually, it's pretty good. The tunnel sounds, the cop cars, all the crashing, when it's not being crumpled into a chiropractic sounding mess, it all is quite good, in my opinion, at least for a PS1 game. Keep in mind, it's a PS1 game. You're not going to expect super much from sound design outside of the BGM. And considering that, I think Test Drive 6 does very good with its sound design. Except for point-to-point levels. For some reason in point-to-point races, you have a problem where every sound is compressed more than usual. Especially the music, which I should talk about next. And about the soundtrack is, I can't really show it to you on YouTube because it's all copyrighted. It's all licensed artists, licensed published artists. And that's really cool. That's always a high point about these old Test Drive games, is that they have really good licensed soundtracks. And Test Drive 6 is no exception. You have artists like Gary Newman, the electronic Prodigy, who kind of became an edgy I'm 14 This Is Deep type synth creator. Embarrassing editor's note, Gary Newman isn't in this game. That's actually Fear Factory's cover of that hit single that, yes, was originally a Gary Newman song, but this is the Fear Factory version. That's awkward. You have the awesome breakbeat artist Lunatic Calm. You have the even more awesome breakbeat act, Cirrus. I love Cirrus. It's awesome to hear them in a racing game whenever they come around. And you also have Fear Factory, who I'm not as familiar with, but I am also aware they have also done breakbeat stuff despite being more a metal band. And they're also really good. There are also even more groups in this game that I don't even recognize, but I still think you should check out. And it all sounds awesome to hear in gameplay. There's just one problem though. The soundtrack gets compressed more than anything else in the point-to-point tracks. So, you may want to enjoy Captain Octail by Cirrus in this London track, for example, but you'll never be able to actually hear what it's supposed to sound like because it'll be compressed all high hell. So, anyway, the point is that sound-wise, this game is generally good, but it has massive dips in the point-to-point tracks, so I can't give it a high score because there is a big failure on that part. But I can give it a positive score. Test Drive 6 is a tournament racer, similar to Need for Speed of the time, except significantly more arcadey. Well, Need for Speed was already a fair bit arcadey and extremely fast, considering how realistic it was otherwise. Test Drive 6 is pretty balls to the wall, being much faster in terms of sense of speed and, well, everything. Another thing that's interesting is it has very good physics, which is surprising because the previous test drive games had absolutely terrible physics, but this game has independent suspensions, it has body rolling, it has traction, and all of it's executed very well. Oh, with all the traffic cars and ways you can collide with other cars and still catch back up to your rivals, it makes for a very fun and sort of combat-heavy arcade racer, even if it's not quite intentional combat. The overall gameplay loop is therefore fun, and I've played it for a long time now. I played it a lot more after recording, and I'd say it doesn't get old very quickly, and you can have a lot of fun with this if you just play it over and over again for a few hours. You won't get bored, like similar games from the 2000s, where a lot of it was based on having hour-long sessions and nothing else. And I think this gameplay is very satisfying and enough to keep me around, but if that's not good enough for you, there's also a cop mode where you can stop other racers, and apparently even a bomber, which is quite insane considering this game was rated E for everyone back in the day. Now, I didn't play the cop mode, but if it's anything like the rest of the game, it should be bang on and some good fun. There's also time trials throughout various cities, but there are only about 6 of them as far as I saw, so I don't know if that'll exactly be your cup of tea, especially considering there's so few of them to do. But, considering how simple the gameplay is, Test Drive 6 is extremely fun. So considering all the downfalls I previously talked about, this is a very high point for the game. The moment-to-moment gameplay, the gameplay loop. This game does its shit correctly. Which leads me to my verdict. Given my previous experience with the Test Drive Revival series, I expected an absolutely horrible game going into this. And what I got was, I think, multi-game reviews' first must-play game. This game has such insane arcade adrenaline, such fun racing. Once you get to Class 2, you'll really get it. Class 1, I recommend you get out as fast as possible. Once you get to Class 2, that's where this game really starts to show how insanely fun it can be. Never mind the wacky car models, never mind the inconsistent graphics, never mind the audio quality issues on point-to-point tracks. This is flawed, but great stuff. This is the very definition of the type of game I want to discover through the multi-game reviews. Something that is flawed, but charming despite that. It is 100% a recommend because despite all its shortcomings, it succeeds at what it set out to do, and that is be an insane, adrenaline-pumping arcade racer with great music. And I think I said it myself best when playing it. This is crazy. I went in thinking that I would rip this game to shreds for being a horrible racing game, and honest to God, this is one of the most fun games I've played in a while. Like, just get yourself a copy of this game right now. Right fucking now. The only reason not to grab yourself a copy of this game is if you hate fun. Do you hate fun? No? Well, grab yourself Test Drive 6 today. Oh my god! Whether you go to Amazon or eBay, and whether you're looking for a PS1 copy or a Dreamcast copy, Test Drive 6 generally goes for a very reasonable $5 to $15. There are of course some overpriced $50 copies, but whatever. Retro gaming is a hobby inherent to a rate of high inflation. You'll have these great hidden gems that some big YouTuber makes a video on, and suddenly they blow up in price. So, thankfully, there's always a few games like Test Drive 6 that haven't quite had a video on them by the biggest YouTuber yet that are still generally affordable. Even on the Dreamcast, which is a system that I find generally has more expensive and harder to find games, you can still get it for a good price. That's always something that is great, something that I always like to look for, is finding a great retro game that won't bankrupt you. And this is certainly one of them. All in all, well done to Pitbull Syndicate. This is the exact kind of redemption you needed after the disaster that was Test Drive 5, and you pulled it off quite well. By the way, did you know that in Europe, this game was published by fucking Cryo? Cryo! Let's move on to the third game before my head explodes because of the revelation of Cryo being associated with an actually good game. That sounds stupid and dumb, but you know how I kept having frame rate issues for both Spyro and Test Drive 6?
Electronic Arts.
The emulator does not run optimally when it thinks I'm using an Intel.
The city of Angels.
I'll finish explaining when the sequence is over.
Unless you count Angel Mendoza.
Target moving south on Harbor.
Angel runs a tattoo salon in Hollywood. He's a recon mutant with 6 hands. Angel gave me this.
X1 Alpha, you got yourself a
Code 7.
This is the LAPD.
Nice work, rookie. Now where was I? Oh yeah. Big LA. Mutants, gangsters, chemlords, whacked out cyborgs, high-tech, this and that. We got it. Remember, kid. Serve, protect, survive.
This is the LAPD. Put down your... Thank you for your support.
Welcome to another police brutality simulator. Now, as I was saying, when you try and emulate stuff on Intel computer, you have to tell it you're using a Radeon, because it fixes several issues that telling it you're actually using an Intel causes. Intels are not very good for emulation, and I'm still rocking an old Intel Mac, so not much to do. Now, I played Crime War, but not Precinct Assault. Let's start with what we know, okay? Oh yeah, looks like I casually forgot to mention something. I have a confession for the first time in the history of the multi-game reviews emulator era. Normally, because of the scale of the wheel, I have to buy a game whenever it comes up on the wheel, because I don't own it beforehand. I may not have heard of the game, or I may have forgotten about it. This is the first time in the history of using this accursed wheel system that I've owned the game before it even came up on the wheel. So, I have actually had experience playing this game before. I've beaten the first level, but I haven't played it nearly enough, so I've only beaten the first level before. I do think... Actually, no, you know what? I'll save what I think for later, because that's spoilers. If there's one thing we hate on the Wheel of the Last 30 channel, more than obnoxious commentary YouTubers, it's spoilers. Not on cars, mind you. We actually love spoilers on cars. Spoilers for narratives. God, spite those!
This is X1 Alpha.
And that's all you need to know. This is a very boring tutorial.
X1 Alpha, Code 3. Proceed to the observatory. Officers are down. Hostile air and armor units confirmed. Be advised. Civilians are caught in the crossfire and the situation is rated X. That's why we need you, darling.
Rated X?
Your target is 1 mile.
You mean it's pornographic?
What is this?
Converted the park telescope.
Why would you say that? It's rated R.
Bringing down commercial aircraft.
Or PG-13. This game's rated T for teen. Why would you say rated X?
That's a code 7X. No assistance needed. He's all yours.
Okay, glass just broke. Okay, this game has several weapons to unlock, but we only have these standard ones. Let's go! They look like they're wearing armor, though I can't tell. Nell sushi, all you can eat. Ow. More like all you can eat, am I right, boys? As you can see, the mortars are gonna be useful. I'm using way too many of these way too early. That's gonna screw me over later, isn't it? I feel like I should...
That's a special weapon, police reloader.
Oh, that reloads my mortars. Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't touch that gas. I feel like it's gonna be like the armor corroding gas from Armored Core 1. And yet, here I go, because I have to. This game plays super smoothly, if you haven't noticed. I'm just a bit bad at it. And it's going to allow me to skip a large majority of the level.
You here. Walk slowly.
Bees can kill me here. That wasn't pronounced correctly. For those who ain't in the know, he's got a giant flying saucer. This goes nowhere. I just hit myself.
The ship is augering in. Watch it. Good work. Keep moving towards the observatory.
The ship is augering in? What does the ship is augering in mean? That's an I. Oh! I picked a very painful place to now reside. Yes, and I'll get to it in just a minute. Also, you've probably noticed by now, I can turn to a car. I just choose not to, because I feel like I'm more tactical and efficient when I'm the mech, so I don't know where they're coming from, and I sure don't know where they're going. But I do know there's something up here I need to get. Let me take these things out before I face what is, let's be honest, it's gonna be a boss, whether you understand what this game is or not. God, these things are the most annoying enemy in the game, I swear to God. The amount of machine gun fire they are actively taking.
Perimeter secure, Central, but no sign of Mysterio.
Copy 1, Adam 5, no sign of Mysterio.
A commercial aircraft! The very thing he swore to destroy! That bastard! Get his ass! Hell yeah!
X1 Alpha, this is Central. We have a Code 2 in Zuma Beach. The perp is Xerxes Zeno. You know, the king of designer drugs. His new batch of Extreme Z is killer. Literally. No customer complaints. They're all dead. Exercise extreme caution, X1 Alpha. The place hums with automated protection, heavy ordnance, and drug-crazed zombies.
Alright,
so
you'll
what
see.
else is new?
You'll see what.
Your target is the Extreme Z automated processing station. Xeno's pride and joy. You are clear to use all necessary force. Code 7X.
So far I like the mortar. Concussion beam. And flamethrower. I'm gonna try these. Just because I can. Holy shit, what am I doing? Glad I kept the mortar. Perfect for when you don't know what the hell you're doing. If I ever get a lock on any of you... Oh, that is anti-aircraft if I ever seen it. You want to hit me with that again? That is way better than the missiles things, though.
Intruding compound.
Hey man, they breached the front gate! Call for reinforcements!
Boy, do I love concussion beam so much. Alright, there must be a reason I can get up here. Okay, so quick aside, you may have noticed I got a little stuck here, and that's because on the map, the waypoint shows it being off to the right, but you actually want to go around the back of the big generator thing, because there's a hidden entrance there. It doesn't show it on the map, there's no objective for it.
It's a trap.
Don't touch that dial! That was interesting.
Barracks lockdown initiated.
I don't think that's gonna help you, good sir. Oh, thank God, there's a helpful staircase over here. I think I missed a secondary objective.
Nice work, X1 Alpha. Looks clear, over. 1039, Chopper 2. Looking good, X1. What a mess. What a sight. What a sight.
What?
I hope nobody saw that.
I'm fucking dead. Alright, we gotta try precinct assault. Run! I think I get it. This man's not having a good day.
I live again.
Don't we all, my friend, don't we all? Some of the sound effects definitely sound like they're familiar from Armored Core. Alright, that's interesting. I think I got all that I needed out of this game. Alright, that's Future Cop LAPD for you. I apologize for the short tenure of Future Cop LAPD, but I barely said any funny shit. That's totally my bad. I'm so sorry. I need to make more quacks about how the aliens are the real reasons we aren't allowed to experiment with genetics, because I don't want us evolving to compete with them. Anyway, here are the graphics. Graphically, Future Cop LAPD seems pretty simple on the surface, but that's because, well, it runs very well. There are almost never drops in frame rate, even though I did encounter multiple. That's partially because I'm on emulator on Intel Max, so that is to be expected. But other than that, the particle effects are extremely good. All the explosions look fantastic. There's multiple types of explosions with shooting beams of light like a 80s cartoon science thing exploding, like you see a shockwave invention exploding in Transformers. The Zone Riders take out a zone generator. That kind of shit looks very good. And all the weapons you can shoot also look very good. And there's also the arts of the lighting. The lighting looks very good. Now, obviously, it's not active lighting. It's baked in. Very few PS1 games had any form of active lighting. But it looks good, is the point. You feel like this is a very accurate representation of how light interacts. And not only that, all the enemies have this distinct, unique art style, and that's this whole thing. It's all an art style that comes together, and it's very coherent. Future Cop LAPD, well, it's a bit simple in some departments. Everything is made out of squares, as you can tell. It looks pretty good. Sound is a mixed bag for Future Cop LAPD, because, like the graphics, there's a lot going on, even if it's simple. And the quality of that really depends on what you're talking about. Everything is crunched and compressed just like in Spyro, and whether or not it's more bearable than Spyro or not, it's really up to your personal opinion. I personally think it is, and the reason for it is because, well, there's a lot more going on. It's more forgivable because there's a more logical reason for it to have that compression, because we've seen the explosions, and not only that, we hear the explosions. We also hear the men you walk over and crush screaming. We hear every shot fired. We hear jets flying overhead. There's a lot going on in this game, and considering that it's compressed, it still sounds pretty good. Now, the music, however, inconsistent between levels. The soundtrack that plays for the first level, which is in Griffith Park, it really sucks, and it can grate on you very fast. Not necessarily during gameplay, but editing was really annoying for this game because the soundtrack is kind of grating in some parts. But in the parts that's not grating, it's actually really amazing. I describe what direction it goes for, but really, it does multiple things, which is quite impressive. Usually, producers have their one thing that they go for, and that's it. Nope, whoever made this game's soundtrack has nuance. Now, this game has its first style, which is a sort of dark, sort of cyberpunk techno feel, which I'll play for you now. But before we do, I have a very important editor's note about who's to take credit for these songs. While Chris Crowell claimed it was a man named Don Vecca who was making these songs, the credits actually say it was Dave O'Neill. I am going to put both their names up for you because I don't know, and in worst case, I give both of them credit instead of not the one who actually made them credits. And I'm going to refer to him as Don Vecca because that's what the guy who actually worked on the game said. Don Vecca is absolutely fantastic at leaning into this cyberpunk bombacity. And it is awesome whenever we get to hear that creative vision. But that's not the only thing that is done well by Don Vecca. He also does this weird sort of fusion with that sort of Nintendo 64 Legend of Zelda boss music style. Obviously, Don Vecca is very multi-talented. I hesitate to say musician, because then a bunch of toxic jazz people will be on my ass. And yes, that's a real thing, toxic people in jazz. Which is very sad, because a lot of good drum and bass, it takes a lot of inspiration from jazz, but we live in a society. But honestly, my favorite track in the game, it's not even that I think it's musically the best, it just has some really interesting concepts and execution to it. Whereas, like, there's a lot of dark and epic drones where it gets very esoteric and sort of, how should I say this? Eldritch. Kind of Silent Hill sounds mixed in with the whole thing. That is LAX Spaceport, and I just want you to hear this last one for a minute. all in all, even if it's kind of compressed and some of it can grate on you, I'm extremely fascinated with Don Vecca's music now, and I hope we encounter more of him as we explore more games. Most likely going to be from EA, because this was an EA Redwood game. But yeah, let's hope we find more of that on the multi-game reviews journey. Anyway, now it's time to talk about the gameplay. Future Cop LAPD is sometimes described as a third-person mech shooter, and I just don't think that's true. An example of an actual third-person mech shooter would more likely be Armored Core, even though that game relies almost entirely upon auto-aim for most normal handheld weapons, not necessarily rockets. But the point is, this more so comes across as a dungeon game, kind of like Diablo in a sense, but not Diablo, if that makes any sense. Because the levels, when you think about it, are designed like dungeons. You have all mostly auto-aiming attacks. Actually, the only attacks that aren't auto-aiming are a shockwave and a mine, which I'll get to the weapons in a minute, and that's the kind of gameplay you should be expecting from Future Cop LAPD. And as for how well that's executed, it's actually really, really fun to play around with. And at first, you're not going to be very good. You're going to have to give it multiple tries, but once you start getting good at it, it'll be really fun. Even when you're not good at it, it's still fun to figure it out and die repeatedly, and then think, okay, I did this specific thing wrong. And you learn from it, and I think that's a very enjoyable gameplay loop. Anyway, speaking of the weapons, I'm just going to give you a quick full-ass guide of which weapons to use. For your primary weapon, you're either going to want to go with the machine gun or the laser Gatling gun, which doesn't make any sense. You can't gattle lasers, but we didn't quite understand science in the 90s, so whatever. Let me tell you right now, the flamethrower is utterly fucking useless, especially against infantry. You do not want to use the flamethrower. Never use the flamethrower. Now, for your secondary weapon, the rockets are okay. The hypersonic rockets are slightly less okay. The best secondary weapon in the game is the concussion blast. Once you get concussion blast, you don't want to use any other secondary weapon because it's the most efficient, it's the most deadly, and it's the coolest. And that sort of goes same thing for the mortar. The shockwave and the mines do have their uses, but the mortar is just superior in almost every scenario you encounter during gameplay, so you might as well just choose the mortar, the concussion blast, and whichever machine gun of your choice. There's only one real ideal loadout, unlike other games like Armored Core. I know it's an unfair comparison, considering it has hundreds of customization options, but Armored Core did this significantly better, where it actually incentivized you to try different setups depending on what your gameplay style was, and what kind of missions you were going to be doing. Future Cop LAPD is not successful at that at all. There's only one ideal weapon combination in this game. Now I have to give a huge shout out to Chris Crowell and the rest of the level designers for a great job on the way this game flows. Every level leads you in a way that is satisfying, engaging. Every area feels like a new challenge within the same levels. You go from one area of the level to the next, directly to the next. It's not the same type of challenge. It keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you thinking, and it keeps you engaged with the game. That is good level design, and it does this without feeling hard or bullshitty. So Chris Crowell and your team, who I'm going to put on screen from the credits right here, right now, thank you all for making a very satisfying level system. Future Cop LAPD really is something, and I think it's funny because we went from our first must-play on the channel with Test Drive 6 right into the second one with Future Cop LAPD. This is a must-play PS1 game. The gameplay is so genuinely satisfying that it is amazing. That's the kind of game we're looking for, these flow state games that you can get into the groove and really understand without trying too overtly hard. and that may be the reason some RPGs get relatively low scores from me. But we haven't encountered many RPGs yet, so we'll cross that horse when we drag it to the water. Anyway, the point is, this game can be played whether you have a lot of time or very little time. You can play like single-hour segments. If you only have an hour a week to play games, this can be your hour a week, because this game, hour-long levels, you complete one on the weekend, you'll be done with it, super fun. Or you can marathon it, because, like I said, Chris Crowell and his team did a great job with the level design to where you can go from level to level without getting bored. And because of the score from Don Vecca, or Dave O'Neill, I don't know which one is the real name, you get this feeling that everything stays fresh. And one thing I really appreciate about this game as well is that Chris Crowell has interacted with YouTube creators who have created videos on Future Cup LAPD before and discussed the development of the game with them. And this creates this personal sort of connection with Future Cup LAPD between you and the developers. I think that's very awesome and a very cool community thing to have. And I 100% recommend that you buy Future Cup LAPD. Are you Chris Crowell and already own a copy? Buy a second one! But wait, how much will that second copy cost anyway? Well, if you go on Amazon, remember you have to add PS1 to the search, otherwise it won't show it. Now, at first, Future Cup LAPD seems extremely expensive, but if you actually look at the listings, it's not so bad. It is overpriced, but it's not renewed horrible, like Amazon renewed normally is horrible. However, if you wanted to get for a more reasonable price, as always, eBay is the answer, typically ranging from $20 to $50. It is fairly overdone, but still. Point is, you can probably afford Future Cup LAPD. Also, as long as we're here, I feel obligated to tell you that LAPD 2195 is in development right now. It is a spiritual successor to Future Cup, and that may be something you want to check out. There's no announced release date yet, but you know, it's kind of like when you mention Roll Cage, you have to also mention Grip. So, if you don't get that reference, you need to play either Roll Cage Stage 2 or Grip Combat Racing. Roll Cage may not catch your fancy, and Firebugs, oh, we don't talk about Firebugs. That was a debacle. Right, anyway, guys, thanks for watching this mess. I know sometimes my voice dipped way too high, like I'm on estrogen or something, which, we're not at that stage of the madness yet, but we may get there. Anyway, I do recognize I did some of this shit poorly, but I do think it was awesome to go back to multi-game reviews to cleanse my palate. Formula 1 World Grand Prix kind of feels like work sometimes, and this was nice just to get back into the fun of YouTube being a hobby. But I do have to finish F1 World Grand Prix. It's a shame that I didn't find another game to move on to and do a playthrough of yet, so we're gonna have to do another multi-game review right after we finish F1 World Grand Prix. But other than that, I'm just glad to make another game video, multi-game video. But yeah, it's super fun to go back to this format. It allows me much more freedom of creativity in editing. So thanks for watching. Well, that's 30 saying to you, goodbye!